OneCircuit Mailbag, coming to you live from downtown Tasmania. If you're here for out-of-focus ramblings, well, you've come to the right place. Wow, this is a heavy one. Not sure what this would be. It's quite heavy. Aha, it is some wire. Yeah, good wire. I think single core I was after from memory. It's been a while since I ordered these because this was just like a restock scenario. So yeah, that's some nice single core wire. Lots of different colors and flavors. Yeah, just have the idea of maybe doing up some of my own connectors. So these little connectors here are great up to a point. They come in standard sizes, and what I wanted to really do was to make some which were non-standard. So I'm always envious of guys like Ben Eater, who seems to make the most magnificent boards connected by these bespoke wire connectors that he makes. And I came across a video from a guy that actually made his own 3D printed device that enables you to not just select the right length that you want, but I think also it included some sort of stripping mechanism too from memory. It's been a while since I saw the video. What I should do is try and find, because I did order that particular device and it has come in, so I'll try and find that, and then we'll just see about this idea of bending and making your own wire connectors, and they should just pop into a breadboard pretty easy. So that is the plan too. I'll try and find a breadboard in this mess here, and we can have a look at that as well. Okie dokie, breadboard and these 3D printed wire thingies. Yeah, so it has been a long time since I saw this video, but my recollection was, I have no recollection. See all the different sizes that you can make, and it was something like putting them on here and then bending them somehow. Okay, so I've watched the video and we're good to go now, I think. So let's have a bit of a go at this and see how we go, get all this stuff out of the way. Firstly, we need to count the distance that we need to go. So I'm guessing if this is the 0th hole here, then we would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, say, to here. So if I was going 15, I would, what shall we do? Shall we go, we shall go yellow. And there's 5, there's 10, there's 15. So we lay it in the 15 groove and straighten it out. I've seen, I think Great Scott actually put these in a drill and twist them to make them straight, but I'm just going to use the Armstrong method and just try and jam it in there. Yeah, there we go. So now that should go across 15 holes because it's in the 15 groove. And then we pop it in the end here. Yep, that's good. And we use our wire strippers to slide across the top there. That should be the right distance. That's one end. And then we do the other end. Like so, I hope. Looks good. And then it's got these holes in the end here. Along the way, is that one there? Yep, so on these ridges there's these holes, and then we just do the 90-degree job. And again, yeah, that should be right. Oh, that's so good. Look at that, like I bought one. And then we just pop it in, and it should go to 15 holes. Wow. That's pretty nice. All right, let's count and see how successful we were. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Boom. Look at that. So neat and tidy. So if I'm having, if you see any breadboards from now on with wires all over the place, yeah, it shouldn't happen anymore. I can make my own now, and that's such a handy tool. So I'll link the original video, and I'll also link to the STL files for 3D printing. This has been printed in nylon, very tough stuff. So yeah, you got a couple of those. Looking forward to making lots of jumpers now. Fantastic. Breadboard jumpers for the win. Okay. Let's see what this one is. Oh, little wall wart. So this one is 15 volts DC, 1 amp, and that was specifically for my fans. I don't mean people who subscribe to the channel. That's funny. I mean that I made a fan to extract solder fumes, and I'm running it off 12 volts at the moment, but I'd prefer to run it off 15. It's got a soft start on it, and I run it through the soft start circuit. Includes a variable voltage regulator, and to get 12 volts on a little bit of overhead on top of that. So this is 15, and then I can wind it down to what's required for the actual the fan itself. So yeah, that's what that is. 15 volts, 1 amp should be heaps to power the fan system that removes nasty solder fumes. Mr. Flat and Light guy, Flat and Light, containing another packet. Of course, that's it. That's what I wanted. I had ordered another packet. Unusual. A drop shipping of 1. And we've got, wow, it says BXBDXSBB. Sure. That's nonsensical. There's some headers in there, and can we zoom in? We'll zoom in and have a look. What is this? DRV8833. I'm pretty sure in the end that that's not great focus. I'm pretty sure in the end that these are for driving motors. And I think I saw someone like probably Great Scott using these. I also think from memory, despite their size, the good thing about these things was their high current. So you can drive some pretty hefty motors. It is my plan eventually to get into doing some things like automating windows, gates, doors, and just things like, opening up, let's say, a door for the chickens to come in and out of, or automating feed or something like that. Whatever that happens to be, there'll be a motor involved, and that motor will need something in between the controller, the microcontroller, and the heavy currents of that motor. And so these sort of little driver boards are key to those sorts of projects. I mean, you could also, I think that would be great. Eventually, I've got some ideas of maybe building some little robots as well. And, I've mentioned that on the channel before. Haven't got a lot down the track on that one. But, these are the little driver boards, and that is a chip on top of it. If I can link up some specs or what have you, I will do that. And if I can link to the original video, I think it was Great Scott, you can have a look at someone competent actually doing something decent with it. But that's what they are. Motor driver boards. Nice. Right. Mixed feelings about this one. I'm pretty sure it is a single board computer. And, a bit of history. The company that I bought it from is an Australian company, and they have sent me stuff before, and it hasn't been an issue before. But this time, a couple of things happened. Firstly, they say, oh, you know, we can't send it to you because you're in a, oh, look at the strobing there. Let's fix that guy up first. All right, hopefully not strobing anymore. Yeah, so the company, as I was saying, has sent me stuff before, and it hasn't been an issue. A couple of things happen about this one. The first thing is that when they took my money, they then sent me an email saying, oh, yeah, there's a bit of a security issue, so we'll contact you in a day or two and let you know whether or not we can send you the stuff. And I'm like, seriously? What's that about? So I called them, and there was a guy at the other end just reading from a script. And the script was, you know, it was a bit like, it's out of my control, I can't help you, which is a bit strange. So, yeah, mixed feelings about this one. And when it did arrive, I think the problem is postal box. And I've had this issue before where people say, no, I can't deliver to a postal box. So, you know, we live in rural Tasmania, mate. I mean, if you deliver it to us, a sheep's going to eat it. So, you know, we put the postal box there, and we've been operating like that for more than a decade. In fact, on the other side of the country as well, for probably all up post box deliveries for us, yeah, for maybe 2 decades. But suddenly it's an issue. And thank you to the criminals out there who've made it an issue. And thank you to the companies out there, including this one, who just can't seem to get their head around ordinary people sometimes have a post box. When it arrived, again, there was issues with signing for it because it had to be me. So I don't work at the post office. Like it was sent, you know, as a post office parcel to a post office. I don't know. I'm just not getting what's happening these days with these things. So yeah, mixed feelings. I mean, I was hoping to be more, you know, excited and enthused about this thing, which is a Raspberry Pi 5. There it is in all its glory. And we should switch it on. I might take it upstairs and plug it into the computer and, and put an SD card in here and fire it up. So I was pretty excited to get it until I wasn't. Another thing that happened actually about this was that this had a specific, or I had a specific purpose in mind to start with, and it was to run my NAS so I can get video and audio from a central point all over the house through the Wi-Fi. But the second thing was to act as a Pi hole. And I didn't think that the Orange Pi 3 LTS that I've got doing that job at the moment could handle the two jobs. Well, it turns out that it can. So midway through the argy-bargy about getting this thing to me, I found a way around the problem. So again, that's a bit weird. Oh, okay. So we've got sticky things here, heat paste, presumably. Can I line those up properly? It looks, oh gosh, how does that line up? Because it's got, I mean, I'm presuming the 3 hot points, or maybe that's a hot point. Well, that would make sense, I guess. So then it would be like that. It doesn't seem right. Like that. I'm going to have to look at the instructions for the first time in my entire life. Oh, here we go. The instructions say, okay, so the instructions say put it like that. And then presumably plug this into, I guess, that guy there. Although that says UART, so maybe not, maybe this guy here. It doesn't actually say. But yeah, I imagine someone on the internet will know about that. You can hear the excitement in my voice. So here we go. That does seem to go at least a little bit that way. Oh, and now it's sticking a little bit. So I'll investigate that, put the heatsink on. You know, it has worried me a little bit too over the years with Raspberry Pi products, and now the Pi 5 seems to be a prime example that you need heat sinks and cooling of all sorts of different types, including active cooling in this case, just to get the thing working. Whereas my Orange Pi compatriots with similar specs, or in many cases greater specs, don't seem to need that. I have put cooling, I have put heat sinks, passive cooling, and sometimes active cooling on a Orange Pi single board computer. But these things are really being pushed out now in their specs, and so if you look at someone like Jeff Geeling and the view and the work that he does, yeah, incredible what you do to get this thing up and running and working in terms of controlling the heat. This one here is the official. Okay, that's interesting. 2 fans for the price of 1. What? So again, look, if you are working in the industry and you're pumping these things out to people and you see an order like mine come through, maybe say, do you need these 2 types of cooling? I mean, I guess one would sit on top of the other. I'm not really sure, but that's another interesting thing. And of course you need the special power pack, because if you don't have this and you say, oh, I've had a problem with my Raspberry Pi 5, the first question will be, do you have the official Rigidigi expensive, out of control, what are we, 5.1 volt and 5 amp power supply? And if you don't, they're like, oh, well, we can't help you. That's the way of it. We'll plug it in and make sure that it works. But yeah, that was a heck of a journey. And this used to be like Raspberry Pis used to be a bit of fun and a bit of usefulness, particularly in the education sector. And you could use them for. I think the last time that I used one in anger was for a puppy cam to keep track of my puppies during the day. And I've got a video about that. And I think that was a Raspberry Pi 3. And I've had Raspberry Pis going back to when they first came out. So, yeah, a little jaded. I think the experience of buying it through this particular vendor was not fun. And that's probably part of the reason why I'm not entirely happy. I suppose also, one thing which I have noticed lately is that the Raspberry Pi is still operating wholly off an SD card, whereas my beloved Orange Pi 3 LTS, you put the SSD card on with the operating system. You then transfer it to what's called eMMC, and some of the Orange Pi PCs have got eMMCs up to 256 gigabytes. I think on the Raspberry Pi 3 LTS it might be 8 or 16 gigabytes, which is more than enough for me. And that means that after you've installed the operating system, you can take that SD card out. Whereas this thing, as sophisticated as it is, still has to have the SD card in to boot it. But after that, you can then, you can, if you're a bit of a script kiddie, you can, for instance, download some scripts to, for instance, operate all the log files, because it's essentially a Linux operating system which has log files which write and write and write, and that's part of the problem with using an SD card. But you can do it a script which will move all those log files to RAM. So, people would say 6 or 1/2 dozen the other, I suppose. And always people are going to say, oh, yes, but the Raspberry Pi has great support and the Orange Pi doesn't. I haven't found that to be the case. I've been using Orange Pis for Octoprint, for Pi-hole, for controlling a NAS, for doing all sorts of stuff. And it's just a standard Ambien Linux operating system, and it just works fine. It does all the things that you need to do, upgrades and so forth. Anywho, that's far too much talking for one mailbag. Let's plug it in and at least see if it works, because if it doesn't, yeah, that wouldn't be good. Right. Okay. What is this? Oh, right. Just in time for the Raspberry Pi 5. It is a micro SD card. 512 gigabytes. Holy moly. Why would I have ordered that? I normally get like 32 or 64. 512 is pretty OTT. At least I'll be able to format it and put the Raspberry Pi operating system on there to test. But yeah, I'd probably say that's more likely to maybe go into a phone or something like that, because I don't have Apple phones. I've got the Android ones, and you can put these SD cards in to massively bulk up how much space you've got. It's a bit annoying, actually. I have an iPad which I'm constantly running out of space on and shuffling. I just looked for a file the other day in my iBooks, which was a reference file, Z data sheet, and it wasn't there. And I thought, oh no, it's been deleted. But I was the deleting person. I cleaned out my iBooks to make space for other stuff. It's a constant shuffle. If an iPad had an ability to put in a 512 gigabyte SSD drive, happy days. But anyway, don't get me whinging. I go on forever. Yeah, that's what this is about, an SD card, which will be used in a Raspberry Pi 5, but probably in a phone after that. Right. I open these with some trepidation these days because I've got some non-electronic stuff coming in, so I'm always thinking, ooh, is this electronics or not? This looks like electronics. So this looks like a programmer 4 and some boards, which are the WCH-32v003 blah blahs, which we've had a look at in a recent mailbag, so I won't open this up again. But what I will do, maybe I will open this up. I'll solder some. I'm sure I've got one that's already open. Oh, that's annoying. But what I'll do is I will solder some header pins on there. And this guy is my programmer. And I think every time that I've got these boards, I have said, oh yeah, I'm sure I've done a video about this. I can't find it. Maybe I haven't done a video about it. So yeah, let's do that. Let's solder these pins up. What do we need to get to do? To blink, of course, to make sure there's communication between the two. Special programmer, very special chip. Let's get that soldered up and going. Alright, so I'm doing a couple of things at once here. I'm evaluating the latest version of Linux Mint, but also when we're running this thing like the RPI installer, or if we're trying to maybe program with or program the CH32v003. I'm just doing it from a vanilla installation so we can see how we go. Firefox running on this VirtualBox machine. I'm not sure how fast this will be, but we'll just go to, if you go to, I guess, Raspberry Pi Imager. Now, I have already downloaded this, but you can see there the link. So if you scroll down, yep, download for Ubuntu x86. That took a while, so I won't bore you with that one. But we should now have maybe the RPI Imager. There it is, Imager. Okay, terrific. And I won't use the 512 gig. I'll just choose the, yeah, that looks good. Choose the 64-bit. I'll just choose a 32 if we can access the USB, because this is the virtual drive, so it doesn't look like it's got access to the USB. Let me go fix that up and I'll get back. Well, it was a bit of a journey to get USB enabled in VirtualBox, and I just followed this particular version of how to do it, and there's lots of different ways of doing it, but it basically means that you have to download the extension pack and then install that, and yeah, once that's up and running, all good to go. So that's done under File and Preferences and so forth. So yeah, just follow the instructions. It's pretty straightforward. Well, it's not really, because the last little bit is adding this command so that this is on your on your main machine, not in VirtualBox. But the thing that's missing from here is your name afterwards. It says where usernames is the name of the user, but it doesn't have username there. Anywho, all good to go. And now with my Raspberry Pi, I've selected Raspberry Pi 5 again, my 64-bit OS, and now the storage should come up, and it does, and we are good to go. Would I like to apply Yes, I would. I think we should probably do this. So this is an interesting thing where you can set host name, you can set your username and password. I'll set the password as the same, I suppose. OneCircuit, why not? Configure wireless LAN. Look, I'll set a few of these. Yeah, I will set a few of these and come back, I think. And all those have been edited. So I've just put my SSID for Wi-Fi in, set up user, all that sort of stuff. Interesting thing is that you can keep these settings for the next time you do it as well. All existing data will be erased. Yep, let's go. And then I need authentication because it's on my main system. So let's try that. Oh, I didn't like that at all. I don't know why. Let's try that. Yep, and that looks like it's good to go now. So that will take some time. And then we can pop it into the Raspberry Pi and see if it's working. This Raspberry Pi 5 will come back. Right, let's see if this is running now. To do that, we might SSH into it. I think I changed the default user, which is Pi, to OneCircuit. And on my LAN at least, I think the address is 232. Yep, that's good. Okay, so just enter that password in that I already set. It looks good. So the Wi-Fi is recognizing it. It's logged in. That's fine. Let's see what temperature it's running. I think that's VGC, I want to say. VCG. Oh, I forgot. Oh, there you go. VC gen command, and then what? And then commands, and then okay. So it looks like measure. Well, there's a whole heap of things in here. Let's go with measure temp to start with. 42.8, pretty reasonable. What's the clock on this thing say? It says invalid arguments. Interesting. Let's go measure volt. I wonder why it's not measuring at 0.72. I wonder why it's not measuring the clock. Now I'm keen to find out what that is. Measure clock. Doop. Invalid arguments. So what if there's something else you need to put in there? I'll need to probably do a little bit of reading about that. But anyway, at least it's up and running, and I think there's actually a desktop on there. That's what we could do. We could see if we can log in remotely into the desktop, if I can remember how to do that. But yeah, what's it going to be used for? Well, now that the Orange Pi 3 LTS is being both a Pi hole and also a NAS and doing a sterling job, maybe I might put the Pi 5 down in the workshop and use it as, just accessing the internet, doing some Arduino stuff, taking some pictures, who knows, we'll see. But yeah, at least it's up and running and working fine, and that is the main thing. Let's see if we can remotely log into its desktop. That'll be interesting. Right, so I'm logged into the Raspberry Pi again, so I think that command now is measure, and it's clock, but it's ARM. That's the thing that was missing last time. Okay, so now we have, take that away. I'm assuming that's hertz, that's kilohertz, and that's megahertz. So we've got 1.5 gigahertz, which is as advertised. So that's good. Now, I did also install on the Raspberry Pi X RDP, and I've got my favorite remote client here, which is Remina. And so theoretically, 192, so this is, I'm just going to point it to where it is on my network. And, oh, it's up. Now, you do have to create for Remina another user. So this one is called, I've called it Remote Guy. and then we'll see if it actually logs in. Yeah, look at that. Okay, so this is the Raspberry Pi desktop, which we're logging to over wireless from a Linux Mint installation running on VirtualBox inside my normal Linux Mint installation. But it'll give you an idea of what is available just as standard, and of course you can keep adding it. It's actually pretty quick considering it's coming across on the coming across Wi-Fi. That's pretty good. Will I be able to log out? No. I'm assuming that Remote Guide doesn't have too many permissions to be doing anything really. So whether I have to shut it down from here or from here, well, it doesn't really matter. I mean, it's nice to see. I guess if I just close that maybe. Yeah, I do. Boom. Okay, so that's not too bad. All right, let's get on to connecting to the CH32v003. So we have our CH32v003 plugged in, and there's our WCH-Link. And on our virtual machine, we have to make that visible. So I've chosen it there. But there's another step. Having done this before with a couple of other things like ST-Link, you have to give permissions to actually write to it. So I've actually got a little document here called fixes, where you type in LSUSB. Let's do that. LSUSB. And then you can see that we're bus 1 device 4. So you can either just immediately make that accessible, or you can make it more permanently accessible by adding it to the UDEV rules. So we'll just do the immediate one. So we want to change mod 666. So, and then we want to go to dev bus USB, and the one we're looking for is 001 and then 004. So that should make it accessible. And then what we want is a blinking sketch, so let's do that. So if we go to examples and basics and blink, and I think it's got it plugged into, at least on the board, that red LED is marked as PD6 from memory. So we'll go PD6. And we'll just take this slow and see how we go. So first thing we'll do is compile it and see if that's okay. Missing fully qualified board name. Well, of course it is, because I don't think I've actually selected the board itself. So it's that one. And then there's the port. That's recognized. That's a good sign. That looks all good now. All right, so again, I'll just try compiling to start with. Can't see any warnings. It's done. So now we'll upload, and we are failed because error while loading. Oh, get out of the way, you. Open OCD. So that's possibly, oh, it looks like a library that we need. All right, I shall go and install a couple of libraries and get back to you. No idea what these libraries are or what they do. I'll just go along with what the machine wants me to do. Here we go, and we'll try again. Very good. And look at that, we have a blinking LED. Well, that's reasonably painless, given the nature of the technology. Yeah, you might be thinking that that is a little bit too difficult, but if you've ever done any work with the Pro Mini, it's pretty similar. You have to use like an FTDI or a USB ASP to program it because it doesn't have the stuff on board. I'm a little surprised that WCH don't have something that's more compatible USB-ish, but I haven't really had an awful lot of chance to play with it. So let's go with a 100 and a 250 there and see if we can affect the blink rate. But yeah, I think that's pretty good. So, and there it goes, blinking faster. Happy days. Yeah, let's move on. That's a great result. That is the mailbag for the week, and we'll catch you next time. See ya.